going to start with our Bible Chronicles today. We can put that flyer up if we can. Yeah, we're going to do our Bible Chronicles. So this particular Bible Chronicles is actually going to be an introduction to our new series. I thought it was really befitting. And then I'll go into our message, Let Go. Okay, so if you can put the flyer up that says the Bible Chronicles so they can know that we're on the Bible Chronicles, and then that way they can know that the message is coming forward. Father, breathe, Father. Oh, thank you. I think I texted to you and Remy, I think. Oh, Rabash. Oh yeah, we're going to do something different in here today. You know what I hear in my spirit? He said, proclaim the blessing upon them. Yeah, he said, proclaim the blessing. You know, after you decree and declare, you proclaim the blessing. You proclaim the blessing. Glory to your name. So as I get ready to move forward, our series for this next few services or our Thursday morning call is going to be Let Go and Watch God Heal. So I felt like the Bible Chronicles was very befitting at this particular time because you need some history. Everybody just says, let go. And if you think about that, like, how do I let go? My number one question is, how? How do I let go? I want to let go. How do I let go? But you have to understand some history. Anything that you need to understand from God, it's in the Word. God wants us to be searchers of the Word. He wants you to seek after Him and to know Him, okay? And you're going to find that in this Bible Chronicles, you're going to see a people that searched after Him. Won't somebody just say, Lord, do it.
Lord, do it.
Do it for me.
Do it for me.
In the name of Jesus.
In the name of
Do
Jesus.
it right now, Lord.
Do it right now,
I
Lord.
need a touch.
I need a touch.
Oh, Rabashike. Yeah, Mahondirabaha. Oh, I need a touch now.
I need a touch now.
I need a drink now.
I need a drink
I need a refilling.
I need a refilling.
And Lord, I thank you.
And Lord, I thank you.
In the wonderful name of
In the
Jesus.
wonderful name of Jesus.
And so shall
And
it be.
so shall it be.
Okay, so let's just start our characters for today. In any one of our messages, I love to pull a Bible character that we can understand that the Bible is just not words. And it's not just built up of stories, although there are some stories in there. But they're not just, it's not just a regular story. They have meaning to them. So our characters for today is going to be the children of Israel, God's people, God's chosen, special people. And you're going to learn before I finish that even though you're chosen and special and called special, you still got some cleaning up and things that needs to happen. Although you're going to find in this particular walk through the book of Numbers, God constantly declares, this is my people. He constantly confirmed, I called Moses. I put him as your leader. He constantly, and whenever the Lord constantly says something, he wants you to get it, okay? Another thing I want you to remember is, let's remember God's promises. This whole plan starts because of a promise he made to Abraham. And you're going to find that over all those years, these people were still waiting on that promise. So my question to you today is, what is your promise? Tell me what your promise is. What has God promised you? Do you know it's in our everyday life? We have to remember the prophecies. We have to remember what God said to us. And you hold on to them, because guess what? life is going to come and you're going to need to pull on those promises for sure. So what did he promise him? He told him that he said he was going to bring him into a land that was blessed, a blessed land, that they would not live under bondage. He was going to pull his people out. If you think about, God said he was going to redeem them. What does redeem? Pull out, save, revive. He's going to pull them out of bondage. And that's what he does for us all the time. I don't know about you, but he's always pulling me out of something. Sometimes when I think, I used to have this thing, I used to say, I'm getting to the bottom. Well, every time I think I'm to the bottom, there's a new bottom. And I'm learning that I'm constantly being renewed in him. But he promised them a promised land. And this land was supposed to be filled with luscious everything, flowing with milk and honey. For us, what is that a parable? That we walk in deliverance and freedom, no chains holding us. So let's just walk through the Bible. I want to walk through a timeline so you can understand. So Exodus was the book of pulling them out of bondage, right? There's this new Pharaoh that comes there, and he just decides he's going to enslave God's people. Now you have to realize the story behind this. They were really multiplying and becoming very, very huge. Pharaoh was getting a little nervous, like, oh, well, these people are multiplying. They're having it's almost 3,000, 3 million. Oh my goodness, they're just moving. So he starts to get nervous and decide he's going to enslave God's people. Do you know that's what the enemy tries to you? All of a sudden, he just decides, I see what's in her future. They prophesied to her? Okay, so what they trying to do now? Oh, we got to stop that. Oh, that can't happen. And then all of a sudden, he finds something to enslave you with. So what does that enslavement look like? Mind battles, lust, any type of family generational, just all of a sudden just grabs a hold to you. And next thing you know, you're in some type of enslavement. 430 years in bondage. Can you imagine that? I often think about when God brought me to open my eyes to be able to see my own bondage. When I got to that point, and I was just thinking, my goodness, so all that time I've been bound up. Do you know that there are times when I see individuals, they don't even know what freedom is like. They don't know what it is to sit in the presence of God. No stress, no worry. Their minds are going constantly racing, reminding them of what they did and what they're not going to do and who they're not. This is similar of what it was like for them. So they're in this bondage. God raises up Moses to bring them as their deliverer. Now this is what's going on in Exodus. He guides them to Mount Sinai where he gives them laws. Now you're going to learn, then he gives the 10 commandments, and then he orders that the tabernacle needs to be built. So this is what happens in Exodus. And next we go to Leviticus. He had to give them some laws. They had a lot going on. There was no order or nothing. So they had to have some order. So in Leviticus, he gives some laws to his people. He talks about deity and restrictions on what they could do, how they walk in holiness. Do you know God's given you laws and restrictions? How many Christians say, well, prophetess, I didn't know what to do. Well, what do you mean? You have a holy Bible. That is your word. You go to your God and say, what do I need to do? What are my laws? One person was asking me, well, how far can you go? Well, I'm like, wait, let's go to the word. The next part you're going to learn, they're going to walk through Numbers. Numbers is going to be the journey to the promised land. And this is where you're going to relate to it because it's going to sound like your life. Only thing is that we're just in today's world, but it's going to sound like your life. Israel lacked faith of entering the promised land. That was their first mistake. Now you have to understand, they've been slaving under bondage. Do you know when a person comes out under bondage, they may be physically out, but their mind is not out. It's not out. They were under all those years. So think about it. That mind was trained for that bondage. It was trained for it. because Pharaoh taught them to be under that bondage, but God came that we might be free. So God began to punish them, Israel, and caused them to wander in the desert for 40 years until their adult generation came out of Egypt and had died. Do you know it? I was like, my goodness. So they went through that. So all those miracles. How many times we've seen miracles? And then when we need another miracle, we're like, well, I don't know if I could believe for that, prophetess. Well, well, wait a minute. What about what you believed for before? Important characters of the Bible, of Numbers, and let me explain this to you. Whenever you're on a journey with God, you're going to have one of these characters. They're going to come up. They're just not going to be named this name, but they're going to be in a today's name. So you have to understand, in any journey that you take, you've got God, Yahweh. That's who their God is, Yahweh, right? So they knew of this God. They believed the promises. He was their creator of heaven and earth. But then after the next character they needed a leader. They needed a human leader. And God chose Moses. He chose a prophet and a human leader to literally give them the word. Well, we're going to find out. God has a spokesman in your life every time. You just don't know him, or you won't respect him. God has put that every time you go through any journey in your life. Do you know there's somebody to walk you through? I can think about journeys in school, journeys that my mother never knew. God would always put an angel there, and somebody was there to work it out or tell me, no, you go this way. No, you go that way. But in this case, it was Moses. Then, of course, there was Aaron, Moses' brother. And he was also the one that God chose as the high priest. Now, that's really going to be important in just a moment. Also, Eleazar, Aaron's son, who began to actually, after Aaron died, guess what? He took over that place. That's going to be important as well. There's always going to be somebody that's going to challenge your life. That's going to be, you're going to find a demon that's going to pop up. In the children of Israel, when they were on their journey, there was a Balaam. Balaam was a false prophet who dealt with divination. Well, guess what? He actually went to the king of Balak, which was the king of Moab. Guess what he told him? He said, I need you to go curse them. See, there's always going to be a witchcraft person popping up, trying to say what you can't do or what you won't do. But guess what? You better be careful. Because if you walk it in power demonstration in his chosen God, there's going to be a demon going to pop up. On this journey, there was a Balaam. Balaam just decided, like he said, well, I'm going to try. Every time he tried to curse these people, he couldn't. He could only bless them. Do you know that was Abraham's blessing? The blessing was that he gave them, he would bless them, and he would bless those that bless him. Now, if we're walking in that Abrahamic blessing, they were walking in it. They were supposed to be anyway. They weren't acting like they was. But he literally tried to curse them. So you know what this tells me? On my journey, I'm going to have a Balaam to show up. But guess what? Even when he get ready to open his mouth, he couldn't do nothing but pronounce blessings. Can you imagine getting ready to call somebody's name and you get ready to curse them and then all of a sudden, and thou shalt be blessed. And then you say, no, that's not what I want to say. And then you say, no, and thou shalt be blessed. He could not do nothing but pronounce blessings. But the king of Moab was another one that was so fearful because the children of Israel were coming together in such great numbers. But you have to understand, God had to honor that blessing. Now, they weren't deserving of it at this time. They were still acting a fool. However, God was honorable, just like in your life, when you act like a donkey. Okay, come on, everybody say, Come on, you know, sometimes you do it in your mind. Sure you do. You judge God, well, I don't know. Well, God, I don't know. Well, maybe he will. Well, that might be a little bit too big to believe. Oh, I can't speak that. Yeah, but they saw miracles, phenomenal miracles that we're reading today. But what does that say? Okay, so on your journey, You're going to have your God. God's going to put someone there as a prophetic leader, a guide to give you directions. There's always going to be someone to assist you. That's going to be the Aaron. And then when Aaron passed, God's going to even take Aaron's son stepped in the place. Then that demonic spirit is going to show up. That's the one with the divination, wants you to just kind of do a little something on the side, right? Next is there was a Joshua, Moses' aid. No matter what it is that God gives you to do, he's going to give you aid. I don't care where it is. The Lord would always remind me when my daughter, when I didn't know where she was for all those years, I can remember he would remind me of the girls that I helped and the different people that I sowed in their life. He said, I will send angels. He said, I will send angels. Do you know what the seed that you've sown in other people's lives, it's going to come up. That's why it's good to sow nothing but good seeds, because they will come up. So my question was, how did they get out in Egypt in the beginning? I'm like, well, why you went to the bondage place from the beginning? It was because of a famine. That's what got them there. After the famine begins to happen, they were seeking a place that had more food and things of that nature. A famine will make you go in the wrong places. A famine will make you go in some interesting places. What is a sign supernaturally of a famine? What does that really mean? Now get this. It's time to move. God said it's time to move. God's ready to change things. Sin has entered the camp. God wants you to seek him in a greater way because he's got something to tell you. God will allow famine to come up in your life. When one sin has entered in, he'll start stopping things. All of a sudden, you have this wonderful river flowing, just money and things just happening. But all of a sudden, he dries up something. See, whenever something dries up in any form, I back up. I said, okay, it's time to shut down. Because God's ready to do something else. God, and immediately, I'm like a little kid looking for him. God, where are you? What are you doing? Because I don't want to make a step by myself, but I know a change done happened. And if all of a sudden there's a river flowing with everything I need, everything, and then all of a sudden a shutdown, oh yeah, it's time to go find a place and seek God. Sometimes it just means it's time to move. Sometimes he's getting ready to move you to another place. Because you have to remember now, if you're going to let go, you got to let go of your will. And you got to know what his is. And sometimes he'll do something so big and he'll say, your time is up there. It's time to do something different. Let me give you a little more history. Under the leadership of King David, the Israelites broke the power of the Philistines. There are going to be times on your journey you're going to have to break the back of the Philistine. That big thing. The Philistines, they were huge. This thing that then rolls up so big, whether it's fear in your mind, all of a sudden you fear of this. It's time to face the Philistine. So under King David's leadership, they actually was able to break that. And then actually, they vanished the native Canaanites. And then that's when Canaan became the land of Israel. So if they refer to it, that's when they came to that point. But because of the famine, the Hebrew tribe in Jacob traveled with an extended family of 70. Now, believe it or not, he takes his family and he's going to this better place because of this famine. But God's got a plan no matter what you're going through. Whenever you're going through something in life, start looking for the plan. Prophetic people start looking for the dots to connect. They're looking around and they're trying to say, okay, God, what you doing? What's the plan here? Let me get in my place. They're trying to sense. See, and if you be quiet and sense a little bit, you'll find that God has got an answer there, okay? Next, so Joseph's wisdom was impressed by Pharaoh once they got there. Now you have to understand this. They was 430 years in bondage, but the first beginning years, they were not They were not really in financial or struggling with food and things of that nature. But they were in the land of Egypt, which, definitely meant bondage. But then Pharaoh said they're prospering too much. What's happening here? And they're duplicating, they're growing. So after that happened, that's when the real bondage began. Joseph's wisdom impressed Pharaoh. He impressed him because of all the authority, to the point that he put him over authority, over things. So you have to understand that as they began to grow, the strength was coming to move to the plan. Because you remember, all they were looking for was the promised land. You have to remember to keep focused. What did God tell you? What about your journey? How many times you wondered, well, Lord, is it going to happen? But I know what you promised me. Yeah, because see, there's a Balaam going to come. Yeah, there's a couple of Philistines. Yeah, they're going to try, their little imps. Yeah, the little imps going to try to come up. But what has God promised you? The entire time that I studied this, God constantly said, I will do what I said. What did I promise? Do you know when you lose sight on what God's promised, you get lost. You get lost. You know what? You start trying to come up with another plan. You start trying to do something different. I've done it before. Didn't know I was doing it. And that's exactly what they did. Exactly. So Pharaoh launches a decree, and he says, now they're going to be enslaved. So all of a sudden, I need you to build. So he takes these people that are they're in Egypt now, and now he makes them work hard labor. He literally planned to make them work so much they couldn't even duplicate. He commanded that all the boys were supposed to be dead. That's how we end up with Moses being so uniquely covered the way he was. Now get this, Israel, so they get a certain portion of the land called Goshen. Goshen literally means to actually draw closer to God. In their bondage, they were made to draw closer to God. How many times you've been in bondage and your gifts, your prayer language? I don't know about you all, but I know whenever there's anything, it just makes me draw to Him. That power goes greater. I hear Him greater. I hear clearly what He wants. Now, I've learned in my walk with God that at one time, it took me like a couple of months to figure out, wait, something wrong. If a change was getting ready to happen on the job, I didn't know till the people start talking. And then I thought, I'm God's people. I'm supposed to know this before it happens. God gives you the ups. But you know what? Wasn't sensitive. The change had already happened. The minute I sensed something changing, immediately I'm like, okay, what is this? So when you go through the waters, they don't touch you. You float like as if, because you're already in the know, remember? Because you got the God of Israel that's already downloaded to you. Now, so it meant, and it's amazing that the name means drawn closer to God. Now, why would you think they would have to be in bondage to draw closer to God? Do you have any Egypt in you? What Egypt in you that makes you stay a distance from God? Think about it. What does the book of Numbers role in the Bible? Numbers shows us how the holy God dwelt among His people constantly. Even when Moses gave the order, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, he gave order as to how they should flow in the wilderness once they got in there. They had the line of Judah had to be first, and the ark had to be in a certain place, and they had to be a certain way. Everything was put to an order. Do you know whenever you're getting ready to be attacked, there needs to be an order? God should already give you an order. You should already know. You should know when it's time to fast. You should know when things move. God talks to you. But when that order gets out of place, you miss it. You miss it. I'm one that has missed it. Israel rebelled against God, and even when Moses disobeyed. So Numbers is always known for the fact that in there, they rebelled, they decided to do their own thing. They were even getting ready to cry out to go back to Egypt. How many times you've ever went back to Egypt? Anybody in here went back to Egypt? Why? Lost faith. They had decided, God, you're going to do your own thing. Oh, I don't want to go through this. Prophetess, I want to get to that place where I seek God, I tap in, but sometimes I just can't get there. Why can't you get? So all of a sudden, oh, well, I'll just do another plan, an easier plan. How many times God has told you to fast? And you say, well, prophetess, I fast, but, I just fast till 12 o'clock. I'm like, you spiritually mature enough for a full day with no food. But, but I did fast because you found another way out. Well, this is what the children of Israel did. They are very like us. Now, you have to understand, in the book of Numbers is also why it's important, is because Israel rebelled. Moses, he disobeyed. He got frustrated with them and did opposite from the way God said, which made it seem like he got the water out the rock, which means he puts himself in God's place. God keeps his promises. In the book of Numbers, as you're going to learn, no matter how disobedient these people were, God still loved them, and he came right back and did exactly what he said. You know why? Because he's a covenant-keeping God. Ooh, see, you don't even understand what that means. He's a covenant-keeping God, in spite of yourself. Oh, my God. He refused to break it, even when you mess up. My. The book of Numbers takes its name from when they took the census. So they had to see how many people they had in the tribes, how many armies would be able to go, and whether or not they could actually attack. So that was where the actual name for the book of Numbers came. And after counting all the men, they had to decide those that were actually over 20 and well fit, who would go in and actually. Now, the ark was always kept in the middle, which is the beginning of this book that I told you about. It represents God with his people. Now, that's understanding for me. God always is with me. He always want to know. He always want to be near. He always wanted to be in the center of them. The ark represented that, his presence with you. Let's study the book of Numbers. So Israelites, they go on this journey. They repeatedly rebel. They repeatedly was given mercy. God disciplined these people. See, this is an analogy of what happens with you when you keep a covenant God with your God. He's going to do this. He's going to discipline you no matter what. This is actually, to me, a great parable. God disciplined his people. Israel rebelled against God and Moses on several times. Do you know when you buck authority, you're literally rebelling against God? Do you know when you do that, you go on another plan? You get off the plan that God has set for you. They complained about food. They complained about water. They complained that their enemies was going to crush, so fear was starting to drive. Does this sound like us?
Yes.
Doesn't it sound like us? Yeah. Prophetess, I didn't want no red beans. I wanted steak. How come she could eat steak and I can't eat steak? That's us. That's us. They complained about Moses and even made death threats on him. They actually was going to threaten him. Okay? Our scripture is going to be Numbers 14 and 11. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people spend me? And how long will they not believe in me despite all the signs which I have performed in the midst of them? Why don't everybody right now? You were so on point when you said everybody needed to repent. When I begin to listen to this, how many times have we hurt God by not believing him? Do you know faith draws him to you? Do you know he wants you to extend your faith no matter what? Even before you find out if it's the timing to come. He wants you to be able to say, I know my God gonna do this. I know my God gonna do this. Okay? They came out of Egypt, but Egypt was still in them. They were supposed to be in the promised land in 11 days. And it took them how long? Right. 11-day trip. Because they wouldn't let go. Egypt was in them. Pharaoh had groomed them, and they would not take their God, Yahweh, and put the faith in him, no matter how many miracles he'd done. They wanted the old. They spoke foolishness. Moses, why did you have this? We're hungry. And the Lord said, fresh food from heaven. They still complain. This is the reason why complaining is really a problem. Do you know when you complain, you remain in the spirit? Whenever you get an attitude, and you know, some of you all know how to have an attitude with God all quietly. I call it a quiet rebellion. Yeah, you know how you can fight God without anybody knowing? But prophetic people know. They can tell your spirit, well, why this is not happening. But believe it or not, there's a significant point to that. Let me get to it in a moment. They wanted the old. They wanted their old bondage. And they spoke foolish over their leader and even the miracles they had saw. They saw the miracles, but that was it. They rebelled against him and would not hear him. God punished them. And when they complained, God heard it and he didn't like it. The book of Numbers is a story of God killing some of the people, the rebellious ones, the Israelites. Yes, that's the ones that he still loves. So you have to mind that he's going to deal with them, even though he loves us. He's still going to deal with us because he's a God that is a keeper covenant. But he's got laws and he's got things that he set, and you've got to obey them. See, some people think, well, you know, God, well, wait a minute, but what about you? Did you repent? Did you get those things in line? Okay? He sent fire, he sent plagues, he sent snakes. Moses calls for God for help. And you, at this point, he's just about like, you know, why you punish me with these rebellious people? I understand that. Lord, have mercy. I'm giving a shout out for pastors. I understand that. Lord, what is the deal? They fight you back. You're trying to help them. Oh my goodness. Yes. But God is so patient, and he's better than us. He's so patient. God's provision for his people would constantly remain no matter what. Remember the promises of Abraham in everything that I'm saying to you. But even when the people proved themselves to be rebellious, God still extended mercy. This is what made me stay on my face and say, Lord, thank you for the mercy. This is what made me give mercy to other people. Rather than killing the whole, he could have wiped the whole nation of them out and said, okay, I'm going to start fresh. But he didn't. He waited, and he worked with them, and he waited. Now, he said he waited on the rebellious generation to die, and he preserved all the younger people. Now, that says something. Because sometimes people have deep bitterness on the inside of them, and they pass that stuff on, and guess what? You'd be wondering why they don't live to see those things happen, and then their children come up. Oh my God, yes. You read the scripture. God continued to provide manna from them, the strange food from heaven. Who would have thought that? That would have made me want to listen, right? Like, what? No, they want to know, why you're giving so much of that. We need something else now. And God gave them that as well. God even prevented Balaam from cursing them. And this man was paid to be able to go on and curse God's people, but he couldn't, all because of that promise. God gave them more laws, things that I need you to understand, that when God gives you laws and stuff, don't think you know, people got this new grace message now. Everything is just grace. Okay, but just remember, he's still a holy God. He's still got laws, and he gave them to us. And when we go contrary to him, it's going to come up. But guess what? It's going to come up in another field. See, you don't see the immediate repercussion. Oh, but it's going to come up. It's going to come up. Yes. So God gives more law. Then that's when you talk about, there was the Torah, okay, which for us, it's the Pentateuch, which is the 5 books of law. But in Judaism, they call it the Torah. Now, the books of Numbers is still an episode of Israel's journey. That's all the book is, telling what they did, how they complained, how they got to the journey, okay? Okay, but these episodes also prepared the numbers and prepared Leviticus and the laws that they had. Now you have to understand there was laws in Exodus, there was laws in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. However, Numbers was the one that set the path for it, okay? All right, they're telling me I got to move forward. Okay, we almost did. Let me get this last part. God's covenant with Abraham. This is real important. Don't allow the enemy to ever make you think God is not with you. If you walk with God, if you walk with him, do you walk with him? Do you really walk with him? This made me check, well, he was with them. His presence was always with them. But they still act the donkey while the presence was there. Is that not a mind of us? God promised to bless those who bless Abraham. And he kept that. And he said he'll curse them that curse him. God is always at work fulfilling his promises, always. The land of Canaan just happened to be where God promised them. So when I think about it, where is my promise? God, what did you promise me? It makes me go back in my notes of my prophecies, and I go back and I say, God, what you have for me? I don't want nothing for nobody else. What is my promise? And it makes me hold him accountable, but it makes me search out also to make sure I walk with him. I hope you've enjoyed that. That's gonna give a prelude to our message where we're getting ready to begin right now. Let Go series. Oh, it's time to let go. So I'm gonna be digging into your personal lives of what you're not letting go. I told you about the children of Israel because they look like us. They look like the reason why we can't let go, why we have issues, why we complain, and why the hand of God does not move. So the title of our message today is Let Go and Watch God Heal. So when I thought about that, let go so he could heal. So that made me search what is in here that keeps me from being healed. So if I'm not healed because I didn't let go of something, that means I repented for it, probably thought I forgave him, but all of a sudden it still keep popping up again, okay? Letting go is spiritual. It takes spiritual to do that. You can't do that on your own. Do you know that's literally going into your flesh realm and pulling that flesh out? So it's a spiritual thing. So you wonder why it's hard. One woman told me, she said, Prophetess, she said, how do I let it go? She said, I wake up in the morning, I go to church, I feel like I'm good. She said, but look like when I get back home, there's still something that just jump on me again. She said, and I'm grieving again, I'm hurting again. She said, and I don't understand. She said, sometimes it makes me think it's at my house. I say, it's in your thoughts, it's in your mind. I said, you gotta let it all go. That means there's something deep down in there you haven't let go. Everybody has a promise, a new level, a new destiny. Everybody. Everybody look at each other in here. Everybody got a plan. God got a plan and a destiny for you. What is your plan? What is the destiny God has for you? What is the plan for you? Where does he have? You've got to know that it's time to know that everybody has a promise. And it's time to tap in that promise. Everybody has a past and everybody has an Egypt. What is in that Egypt that is hindering that promise that you can't step in? Come on, self-evaluation. Self-evaluation. Can you let go of one thing that keeps you from moving forward? What is the one thing? Tell me what it is. Ask God. You should be asking that already. Lord, what is that one thing that keeps me going around the cycle? The cycle is anything that keeps coming back. Anything that does one of that 90-degree turn, they just keep coming back. What is that? It could be in your soul. Did you know it could be in your soul? Oh, yeah. It could be in that soul acting a donkey, make you go do things you can't say, I can't believe I did that. It could be in your heart that way you can't forgive nobody. They did stuff since you was a little girl. You still remember somebody taking that biscuit. And you a grown woman, you 60 years old right now, but you remember that biscuit like it was yesterday. Your choices. What about your choices? Can you choose him? Your choices got you in that place. What is that thing that you need to, and this is the thing, stop blaming other people. Listen to me, people of God. That's a demon in itself. It puts you on a merry-go-round, pointing the finger at other people so you'll never come out. Is it in your soul? Is it in your heart? Is it in your choices? Is it in your mind? One woman told me, she said, this thing just torments me in the mind all the time. All I keep remembering is the injustice, why it happened, why my daddy let it, why it didn't happen. She said, I'd be like I said, well, now that's a tormenting spirit. So what do you have to let go? Is it worth it, is what I want to know. I asked myself one night, is that really worth that bondage? Is it your way you have to give up? Sometimes people who have a controlling nature or a strong nature, they have their own way. What about your plans? What about your plan? You got your own plans? You have a plan the way you think life is supposed to happen. And the minute somebody comes in with something else, you're not having it because your own way is the thing that you need to let go. Do you know that own way could be keeping you from that one stepping over? Think about it. The children of Israel was right across the river from the promised land and couldn't step in it because they wouldn't let go. They died in it. Do you understand? Wait, I'm trying to wake some people up today. They died in it. They died in they could actually almost step over and see it, but couldn't touch it. What does that tell me? I'm like, wait. So you mean you can get almost to the door and don't step in? Wow. It may be something that you have to choose him. Now let me say this. Jesus had no problem with family. None. But there are some of his disciples that he required them to give up things. Is it possible? Is it just possible that he wants you to choose him? He required them to choose him. He had many of the disciples, they had to put him first. They had to leave their home, leave that, and go to deal with him, and then go back home. So let's talk about letting go. Do you have a walk with God? You can't let go if you don't walk with him. If you don't walk with him, you're not going to be able to because it's going to be too strong in there. You're going to fight it. Your way is so piled in and it's such a hard structure. Like you're not soft in the spirit. It's hard. Do you know when you've had rejection, hurt, and injustice? It's hard. Your heart become hard. And because that heart become hard, you don't hear him. He whispers to you all the time. He says, I have this for you. But prophetess, I don't see it. It doesn't matter. Children of Israel, they didn't see it either. But they had to believe because of the presence that God was with them. Okay? What is a walk with God? It's where you ask him everything. It's where you talk to him during the day. There is a religious spirit that keeps people from hearing God and experiencing the fullness of God. And I've just come to the point that everybody's not going in. I have. Everybody don't want him to that depth. I used to wonder why there were so many different religions and why one part would take it for this part. They say the other people, they took the sacrifice part. The other people say, okay, well, it's okay. You don't really need this. Just take this part. But you know, the word is really what we're supposed to be walking through, all of it. But they all have a certain part. and they have emphasis on a certain part. Letting go will create several things for you. It will create pain. Okay, you let go, that flesh gonna be screaming because you can't have it no more. It's gonna create joy because you're gonna step over into the promised land, so freedom is gonna be there. The next thing is gonna put a liberty in your spirit, man. Oh my God. You will have a liberty that will hit your life whenever you truly let go, because you have come from out of bondage. Think about some people you let go out your life that you thought you could never. I mean, come on, you got friend girls, or you got guys that you grew up with for life. You never thought they could never be out of your life. But you didn't realize that they were part of the bondage. But you didn't know that till they left. So sometimes, people are carriers. See, you need to figure out who the carrier is. Do you know you don't know who the carrier is till the carrier's gone? And then all of a sudden you go, wow, everything is happening now. Wow, my mind is free. Freedom of obedience. Whenever you have freedom of obedience, oh my goodness. That's when God said yes. You cry out to the Lord, He said yes. The answer is yes. Because when you let go, you make room for more. Go to Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. God has processes. He has a process of hearing, process of seeing, process of stripping. Do you know when God stripped you, you got to give up stuff? Do you know most people try to mix that? They want to mix the promised land and bring in the Egypt. But guess what? The ones who wouldn't take and strip the Egypt off, they died in it. I'm trying to give somebody an answer. He even got to the point he had snakes to bite them because they were complaining so much. Now, you want to talk about the fact that complaining is a bad thing? Ask my mom. Anybody start complaining, I just walk clean off. I do, because it makes my stomach sick. I'm like, I gotta go. I can't hear this. Do you know the strangest judgment that he actually put is actually when he told Moses to get a snake and put it on the pole and raise it up? That the snake actually, when they looked at it, they would be healed from it. So you think he wasn't trying to show them his power? Moses go back and he cry out for the people, and the Lord give this strange judgment. And he says, go and do what I say. And those that look at it is going to be healed. So they were healed and they still complain. Spirit of complaining is vital to a walk of a believer. You need to make sure that that's not inside of you. God has processes. He has processes where he teaches you to hear. He has processes where he teaches you to see. He has a process where he starts to strip you. If you don't go through these processes, Egypt stays on you and you end up like the children of Israel. There are many people that are Bible believing, love God, but guess what? Let them not go through this process. If they don't hear him, they don't have no direction. That's why they make all them wrong decisions. You'd be like, well, what happened? I can think of any time that I messed up on a decision, moved too fast or moved too slow or went to the north, should have went to the right. Anytime, did not take the time to clarify to hear that voice, or the voice was not clear enough at that time. Why wasn't it clear enough? Not enough intimacy, not close enough to him. So you telling me, well, Prophetess, how I did that just was to Egypt, just plain old Egypt. Seeing, okay? So why can't you see? You can't see because you're not close enough to the presence. Do you know you're supposed to have eyes to be able to discern and see? And I'm not talking about fleshly. God wants to show you things ahead of time, but you can't see because you haven't made the choice to go into that next closeness to God. Next thing, entering into the new. There's a process after the stripping happened. He brings you into the new. God opens up the door for wonders to happen to you. So you wondering why everybody in this season of wonders, why they're not happening to you? Why are they not happening? Like, why? Why are you not in the new? Why didn't you cross over? Who need to cross over? Who need to cross over? Let me say this, you know when you haven't crossed over. Because even though now children of Israel, they hadn't crossed over yet, but what happened? He gave them quail, he gave them manna, he did miracles, signs, wonders, kept people from fighting them, gave them success, let the presence of God be with them. But guess what? They didn't cross over. What does that tell you, people of God? They didn't cross over, but their children got it. Oh, I'm trying to hear, somebody trying to hear. God has processes. I'm going to read them again. Hearing, seeing, stripping, and then entering into the new. When you enter into the new is when he says, now I can bring that Isaac to you. Now I can bring you your Queen Esther. I can't with your Egypt on you. Some of you all saying, well, Prophetess, I've been waiting to get married. I've been waiting. No, baby, get the Egypt off of you. Then you will attract the promise. You still got the smell of Egypt on you. So the promise is not going to draw to that. Anybody hear me here? Understand where you are. To let go, you got to understand where you are. There's a will breaking that you got to fight. Everybody look up at me. There is a will that you got to fight. Do you understand me? That will, I want my way. It's a will. It's a strong thing. It's flesh. You got to go after that thing. Flesh make you can't. God say move. And then you go into the religious thing. But God know my heart. No. What are you saying? He said, I gave you a direct order. He said, walk in. He said, I say step in. But you didn't step in because of that will. Do you know that will sometimes hides? You don't even know that will is moving. It has a way it can camouflage. Yes. That's the reason why disobedience is like major. There are cycles of letting go. There's cycles. Okay. So as you get into God's world, you start letting go and you say, now I'm saved now. Okay, I'm saved. I got to stop doing this and I got to stop doing this. But then there comes to that next process where he said, now you got to let this go. Oh, no, I got to let him go too. Yes, he's not yours. Let him go. Yeah, he don't belong to you. Okay? Well, wait. So now this don't match because what about my calling? Well, I'm not ready to accept that. Yes, okay. All of these things. One lady just told me, and I prophetically heard her. I said, Lord, make her say it out of her mouth. She said, I know what he wants. I just want other things first. That was like the children of Israel. They openly complained and God heard them. He sent them snakes to them. That's what he did. So you wonder why every so often you go through this thing where something eat up your seed. Prophetess, I'm in this season where stuff look like it's drying up. Baby, what's eating it up? Let's walk through. Come on, let's walk on the journey. Let's pull off the tree and figure out where you are in the journey. Why is it happening? Tell me why. And let me just say this. This ain't nothing you got to go to your pastor for. You need to do this on the inside. Where is the Egypt in me? You go on an Egypt search. You want to know why you keep messing up? Why you keep having all those problems at work? Why you're not flowing in milk and honey? Why the peace is not there? What is going on? There's something from Egypt still attached to you, and you got to go after it. I'm going to tell you in just a moment. Know the real you. Most people don't really know the real you. You know the you want to be. That's the one you believe you are. No, y'all didn't hear what I said. Oh, yeah. This is like one girl, and this is a great analogy. I watched this movie, and this girl was in the mirror, and when she saw herself, she looked like she was this big. I don't know what mirror she was looking in, but anytime she looked in the mirror, she was this big. But she was like this. But in her head, she was. That's the way sometimes Christians do. Yeah, they be thinking they are who they're not. But if you really look, the proof is in the pudding, baby. Do the black and white. What is really going on? Because you're wondering why you can't let go. That stuff is deep down in you. You don't let it go, you don't go to the promised land. God can't talk to you about vision. Do you know when you hold stuff, your vision stops? Do you know creativity stops because of that? You get on the pause and can't. Know the real you, both spiritually and generationally. Know your generations. And everybody in here, do you know what you got from your mother? Bad and good. Come on, think about it. Do you know what you got from your father? Bad and good. Do you know what you got from your spiritually father? Nothing but good. So what did he give you? But see them other two people? Baby, you got to balance that thing out. You got to balance that thing out. Get to know God in his word. God gave me a revelation yesterday. And I was thinking about maybe like I was doing a timeline of my life and a timeline of decisions. And I said, well, God, how come here I didn't know? He said, look at the different degrees of your study, your time with me, your hearing, and your maturing. It was in the times when I matured more, I made the better decisions. Because I was keener, I was closer to him, I heard every whisper, and I obeyed no matter what. Okay, somebody should have caught that. Somebody should have caught that. Now, that was a hard chart to make. Because, nobody want to look at that like, do it. It's because you didn't have enough word in you. The word comes in like dunamis power and burn up stuff that's wrong. You don't have enough dunamis in you. You got the dynamite in there, but there's no power to it. So guess what? It's not burning up nothing. So you're making the same decisions and the same mistakes. And so that means when you don't have enough of the word in you, with application, you don't grow. When you don't grow, you can't make mature decisions because you don't see the full picture. How you gonna let go if you don't even see the full picture? You don't even know you got something to let go. Never look back. Now you have to understand, the children of Israel, oh yeah, they were like, we going back to Israel. They were gonna get them another leader and head back to Pharaoh after all of that bondage. How many times you went back to check and go back to your bondage? Turn this air off down a little bit. Yes. Never look back. I need you to not to look back. Anybody in here recently think you've looked back? You know you could have done it deep down in your heart. Oh, I was making more money when I was back at this job. You know that job, they didn't like you. You know you had all kind of write-up, they didn't like you, but you're still trying to hold on to that job, right? So that means God said, well, I'm trying to bring her to the milk and honey over here. I promised it to her, but she got a lockdown over here because she got a soul tie or bond with somebody that she won't move, or she's paralyzed by fear, so I can't get her over here. Okay, all right. Never look back. Be careful when you say what should have. I should have stayed. No, God never sends you back. Right. Anytime you get something from going back, baby, you're grabbing some Egypt. How do you let go? When you get ready to let go and you know you're truly let go, your eyes will open. Do you know sometimes I think about people that I had friends and that I hired in my business that I think about now, and I think to myself, did I have any eyes? I don't think I had no eyes. I don't think I even had natural eyes as far as that's concerned. You know why? I've matured. Come on, think about some of the people y'all dated. Come on. I know y'all don't want to go back. Think about some of the people y'all dated now. Everybody looking at the wall like, nope, we are not doing that. Think about it. You know why? You've matured. All right, now let's take that analogy in the Word of God. Let's take it in the Word of God. When the Word of God comes in you, that dunamis power come in, ooh, it starts showing. I mean, that power start coming up. And then all of a sudden, those things start dropping off. And then all of a sudden, you're like, no, I don't want to go. I ain't going there no more. Oh, I'm beyond that. You know what? Maybe the boulevard is better than the lane. You see so much your vision when you let go. But see, you can't let go. Guess why you can't let go? Because they in you. Come on, I'm trying to tell you. Y'all ain't working with. I ain't getting no help over there. They in you. You ain't getting no help because they in you. They in you. And because they're in you, you think about them. You mad at them. You fighting at them. Every time we talk to you, Prophetess, he did me this. You know, he did me this. He did. Prophetess, you know, shit. I'm like, so they live with you. Yeah, they got a bedroom with you. You just don't know you done gave them one. You did. You can't see until you let go. You can. Never look back. Your eyes will open up when you let go. You can't see until you let go. Everything will look different. Blue will look like red. Everything changes. When you change spiritually, you grow and mature, it will require change. Let me pause there for a moment. So two can't walk together unless they agree. Okay? So me and her, we walking together. Yeah, we have some vision to do. Oh, we got this whiteboard and we just got to hit this, we got to hit this city, we got to do this, we got to do this. Oh yeah, we got to make things happen. But if she don't grow or I don't grow and we both don't mature together, guess what? Because she say, I ain't making no change. I'm staying like me. You just set me who I am. This is who God made me. Okay. And if I don't let her go, guess what? So we both stay in the pit together and nobody does the vision. You know why? Because we don't enter the promised land. We don't go over. Unless you grow and mature. When you grow and mature, you ever want to, I can give y'all $1 million answer. You ever want to figure out if somebody's for you? See if they're going to grow and mature and take that change. Require them to make that change. Let them don't make that change. And you're going to know. You ain't got to ask them, do you love me? No, baby, you don't love me because you ain't taking no change. So you want to take me down with you. That's just what he just said. That's just what she just said. Yeah, she going to take her little Mary Kay and her little weave and go right on down the road. Because she don't want to make a change. You understand? She don't want to make a change. I know some people that changed from weave to real hair and had a whole new life going on. They need to make a change. Oh, y'all want to be sedated? No, they want to be sedated, but we're going to tell it just like it is. They needed to make a change. They look like a total new person. If you grow and you mature, the people around you have to make a change. Do you know most time that happens with family people? It's not that you want to, they won't change. They won't change. And you spend half your life trying to drag them to say, I need you to know that there's a promised land over there. I'm trying to get you there. They can't because they won't make the change. My God. Okay, let's move on. When you make the change, you're going to start getting instructions. Or you will be literally blocked from the promised land and you can't get in. When you start letting go of things, God talks to you so much. Oh my God, there's like a river of peace. You don't even have to search for answers. They just come to you. Do you know in the Garden of Eden, there was nothing fought nothing. The animals didn't fight anything. It wasn't to its full perfection, but everything was in harmony and rest. See, when a person don't want to let go, that's chaos. Chaos. Constantly like this. So you'll be wondering like, Prophetess, why they don't like me? Prophetess, what's the problem? They just won't change, baby. And you're going to have to let go. Maturity and growth requires change. And it's hard to start off with someone that won't change. Because then you stay stagnated. Then you're going to have to choose one or the other. And God's going to require that. Healing cannot come when you're in delusion. When a person is in delusion about things in their head or life or the way they believe in things, see, sometimes you're wondering like, Prophetess, when my change coming? You need to come in truth. Letting go causes truth to be birthed. When you're in delusion, you can't hear or see. It can only come in truth. You've got to have some truth. Wrong information or no information will make you hold on to the wrong things, the wrong places, the wrong position, and the wrong people. You'll be like, well, Prophetess, why keep being drawn to all of these wrong people? Wrong information or no information. So that means you can't let go because you think what you're trying to let go is a good thing. You cannot keep what is not yours. God deals with people, places, purpose, and plans. You cannot keep what is not yours. I know individuals that, dealt with people that were just like notorious, being abused, being beat and everything, and they're fighting to stay with them because they're living a delusional lie. They live in that lie of delusion. So they're trying to make something be what is not. But the Lord God is saying it's time to let go. He said, let go. So you cannot hold on to what's not yours. That's why sometimes I pray for people now and I'll be like, okay, Lord, I thank you that your perfect will be done over there. And I don't say a thing. I say, Lord, show your perfect will. Because otherwise, she over there like praying and crying out loud. I'm like, nothing's happening. That ain't where you're supposed to be. Wow. And then God will manifest. God deals with people. You got to watch who the people are. Do you need to let go of the people? He deals with places. Are you hooked to a place? So that means God can't give you the new house because you hooked to the old one. Because your Aunt Lucy gave it to you, even though it's falling down and got cows and chickens in the back, right? Okay. But Aunt Lucy gave it to me, and I'm so touched by Aunt Lucy. I've got to hold on to Aunt Lucy. Okay, all right. Purpose. What is the purpose? God, if you hear anything that I say today, when God makes strategic changes, or when God causes you to be able to let go, He got a purpose that's coming up on the scene. God uses people to demonstrate and to manifest His purpose. So what is the purpose in your life? Why don't you grade yourself and ask you, where am I fulfilling the purpose? Every day I speak purpose on my life. Every day I look at the door and I say, Lord, send purpose through the door. Anybody that ain't purpose to be here or to fulfill a part of the vision for you, move it. Sometimes I decree and declare, and I call to anything that will cause me not to stay attached to people that I shouldn't stay attached to. You know why? Because it'll hinder the purpose. Now, it takes power and strength to be able to decree that. Because one girl just told me, she said, well, I love my family. She said, they all drug addicts and use all my money and got my credit bad. I said, okay, see ya. See ya. And I said just that. Because she was telling me she wasn't letting go, she refused change, and they already stole her money and got her credit bad. See ya. I said, call me. I said, I'll be right here when you call me when you're ready. Make the change. God deals with plans. He has a plan for your life. You don't go hooking up with nobody. Tell the plans. You go hook up with somebody who don't even know a plan for their life and gonna come and try to lead your life. Women, don't get in these people's lives and wreck these people's lives up. Don't even have a plan thinking that man's gonna just come and pull you together. That ain't his job. You need to let go. Freddie, Jackson, all them other people, let them go. Because that man gonna be dealing with all of them. Let them go. Yeah, they still in you. That's why every so often you have a dream about them. Every so often they're attacking you in a dream. Every so often you got a sex thing going on. They in you. That's why. They're in you. And then every so often they knock up trying to come alive. You better kill them and let them go. All right. Okay, I'm just trying to help you today. I'm trying to help you. Listen, I'm a life coach and I hear this stuff all the time. Did you hear me? I mean, there's one woman, every week she's having dreams about her. I said, baby, why is he in there? Why he in this marriage now? Oh, he not. I said, yeah, baby, he in that bedroom. He is in there. He in you. I'm telling you, because you haven't let him go. You got to let him go. Freddie got to go. Freddie got to go. They're holding up the blessing. You can't move on. You can't even think differently. You can't even know how to desire differently because they're ruling in here. You want to know why you're not married? I can tell you why you're not married. They're in there. And they are repellent. They're making it be repellent. And your thinking is off because you haven't let go. Okay. Signs it's time to let go. When it's time to let go is when God starts speaking loudly. Now he's just not whispering. He's not going just in your dream. He's showing up on your job. He's got all kinds of things showing up. Certain things are happening at the house. He's speaking so loud, you're like, what? Even you with your unprayerful self is like, what is going on? Okay, because he's speaking loud. That means it's time to let go. When it's time to let go is when God starts revealing. All of a sudden, he just starts uncovering the devil in your life. All of a sudden, it's not just because they're getting a little lax. No, because you've been in delusion. You didn't want to see that man was cheating on you. You didn't want to see. But now it's in your face, up in your face. And now you're going to have to make a change and let go. Sometimes God has to do hard things like that. Because if not, you wouldn't move. You wouldn't. You stay in that delusion because that's where you want to be. Okay. Nobody likes me today, but it's all right. When it's time to let go is when God is so speaking and he's starting to draw you in his prayer life. There's a deep call that even you begin to know there's a deep call and it's time for change. Also, it's time to go when you start seeing God catastrophically do things to change people. God will start moving people. When he starts moving people, he make you uncomfortable. That is your promised land. See when that promised land is knocking at your door, but you haven't let go over here, that promised land have to do about face and say, okay, she's not ready right now. And you might say, but prophet, what about if the prophets prophesied, but it got right to the door and it turned? Okay, so look at the woman or the man in the mirror. Command your promised land to come into being. You need to create your own decrees and declare. You know things inside of you that you need to decree and declare. What's not working? And ask the Lord, say, God, reveal to me what I need to let go. And let the Lord walk you through that healing process. Okay? Anything that takes your freedom, what will God require you to let go? Anything that hinders you from him and his will? Anything that takes your freedom, anything that adds bondage to your life, oh, you got to, yeah, he's going to require you to let it go. Anything that hinders you from long-range planning. Do you know you can make one decision that could hinder you for 7 years? 7. There's some decisions you make, they're like, they got multiples with them. Abraham was ready to give up Isaac by faith. He's going to do it because the Lord said to do it. He believed that God was going to put a ram in the bush there. He believed by faith. Vashti had to let go of the throne because her time was up. So sometimes you have to do it because the Lord wants you to do it. Sometimes it's because your time is up. Esther was ready to let go of her family for a greater purpose. See, people kept trying to divert her off to other things, but she knew I was called to the temple for such a time as this. I had to be there for this time. When you deal with the timing of God in your life, do you know it's strategically time for you to meet people? I couldn't have met her no earlier than I did because I had to be at a place to be able to do what needed to be done for her. Do you know everything has a strategic plan? If I can get you to look at your life to understand God has a plan for you, you are not just accidentally stumbling upon something. No, He has a plan. You had a plan to meet Him. It would have the right time. It had to be, God has it all planned. Some of you just don't know the plan. What is the plan? So you just live it every day, just getting up saying, oh, well, whatever happens. No. Our beginning scripture, we started with, in Jeremiah, when it's 29 and 11. Somebody go back to that and read that for me. There it is. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you hope and a future. You can't just keep walking not knowing what you're doing. You're going to end up in depression for sure, and then you're going to start blaming God. The walk of the Spirit to get understanding. You have to walk with God. Somebody tell me how I could help you to walk with God. Every day, you have to put God in every part of your life. When you get up in the morning and you dress, when you get up in the morning, you set your schedule. When you talk to people on the phone, when you have things that you need to get done. He needs to be in every part of your life. When you begin to do that, you're going to lose the control over your will. And when you do that, you'll be able to start letting go anything that creates problems. If you have trauma that has not been dealt with as a child, that trauma will make you grip to things. Do you know trauma will hinder your communication? It'll hinder your thinking. It'll make you can't give up. Even though you know this is bad, but I can't give it up. I know many men. I say, well, why do you stay with her? You know this woman is cheating. You could end up with something. And he just said, I just can't let go. I'm like, wow. I said, you know this happened. I know, but I can't. I said, ooh. I said, yeah, think about that. I said, let me give you some scriptures. Let me walk you through here. I said, because you playing Russian roulette with that. When I got the revelation that the more word in me, the more maturity I get in the spirit, the more I hear him more. The more I hear him, the more I understand the plan for my life. And then the more I get the plan for my life, I understand why some things I can't have, and it's easier to give it up. Anybody got that? But if the word don't come in and I put application and I have understanding of the word, I can't see, I can't hear. So when he speaks to me, I still miss it. So I hold on to the things I shouldn't be, and I get rid of the things I shouldn't get rid of. So then that means I don't move, and destiny is not fulfilled. The deeper you see and know his desire for you, you will be able to let go. Sometimes individuals have a certain hurt, a loneliness, a wound from a parent, a need for love. So they grab a hold to any love, even if it's bad. They can't let go. But it will hold your destiny back. My God. The lack of knowledge will destroy a person's destiny and ultimately their full life. If you don't know the rules to the game, the laws, the guidelines, you can't be successful. Come on, any game, you know you got to be successful at the game. Satan knows when you are ignorant. See, when you don't have, see people that don't have time to read the word, he likes you because you're ignorant to the word. You don't even know what you could fight. You don't know you have to say, oh, I don't have to take that. You a lie. That does not belong to me. But he knows you don't know. I'm going to give you a scripture. And then I'm going to pray for you. We're going to line up around this room. The Lord told me pronounce the blessings in here. You will let go. No more of this constant stuff year after year. Same bondages, going in the prayer line for the same thing. No, you have to let go. It's a spiritual thing. See, all God needs is a willing vessel. Say, I will. And then the enemy sells you a bag of good. Because you know what he does? He make you think that that's God. Like God holding his back from me. You know, why God ain't blessed me? It's not God. It's not. He says in Psalms 46:10, he says, be still and know that I am God. And I will exalt you among the nations, and I will exalt you in the earth. Ephesians 4:31, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slammer be put away from you along with malice. These are the things that cause people that can't let go. This is what keeps you from not letting go. Well, I'm angry, and they don't deserve this. I want to see them go down. Okay. All right. So you're going down with them. Now, who want to be free in here today? You got to let them go. You got to let them go. Everybody lift your hands. So I'm going to do a general prayer so I can catch everybody. How about that? Then nobody know who I'm talking about. Isn't that the shame? That's a shame. That's a shame. That's a crying and a shame. Y'all want me to turn to the back so I don't look at y'all either? No? Okay. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for your love and your power in the Holy Ghost. Father, help your people to let go. Ex-husbands, ex-wives, boyfriends, perpetrators. They're rapists in the name of Jesus. Help them to let go in the name of Jesus. Their fathers, their mothers, help them to let go in the name of Jesus. Those that's mad at you, Lord, because they believe that you did some of this stuff. But Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you. Ooh, that deliverance hits this house today in the name of Jesus. God, that they would let go. Thank you for your supernatural healing and power to help them to let go. Lord, I thank you for helping them to let go. The little girl that the lady hurt her at church in the name of Jesus. The little niece that her aunt told her something awful. That thing still haunts her even today. Oh my God, that family member that stole that money from the family in the name of Jesus. Father, I thank you. Oh, that ex-husband, God. Oh, that cheated on her in the name of Jesus. Lord, I'm asking you to help her to let go in the name of Jesus. Oh, that husband that cheated, God, help him to let go. Help her to let go in the name of Jesus. Oh, Rabashoko Rabashite. Oh, God, and the one that hurted that son, Lord. I'm asking you to help her to let go. Give it up in the name of Jesus. Help her to let go. Now, for 2 seconds, I want you to pray for your enemies. Pray for them inside of you. Pray for the one that hurt you. Pray for the one that stole your money, the one that hurt your family, the one that hurt your daughter, hurt your child. I need you to forgive them. Forgive them. If you don't forgive them, you can't let them go. They're deep down in your heart. Those of you that did forgive your dads who wasn't dads, you got to keep forgiving them. That don't mean let them do it again, but you can forgive them. Because if not, it holds back your destiny. Lord, thank you. We forgive every one of them. Oh, God, that girlfriend that hurted your heart, she chose someone else. Oh, Mahonde Dadabashi. Let the healing waters flow in this place. If you let go, you'll watch God heal. If you let go, I know you can't stop what these people did. I understand you can't change them, but you got to let them go. You let go and watch God. Don't let your heart become hard-hearted. Don't let your heart become hard-hearted. Don't let them in there. They got to go. I know it's injustice. I know it wasn't right, but don't let them get in there because they stop your brilliance. They stop your favor. Now look up and say, Lord, I give them to you. This day, I walk free. I let go. In Jesus' name. And so shall it be. Let's give God some glory. If that thing tried to show itself back up, you tell it, I've let it go. And you pray for them. Every one of them. You let go. You understand me? God is He's an honest God. He's just. Ooh, his hand of dealing with the injustice. Oh my God. He got a day of reckoning, but it's not your day to touch that. It's his day. He gonna deal with them. And he don't forget nothing. He got assistance that you can't even imagine. Baby, he got it. They tricked you once, but they won't trick you again because you've let it go. Let's give God some glory. Lord, thank you for giving us understanding of the children of Israel today. Thank you that they are our models. And that's not what we're going to do, because we're going to make it to the promised land. We're going to cross over. And then we're going to go help other people cross over, even our enemies, if they have made a transition. You got to let them go. And Lord, I bless you today. I so bless you today. In the wonderful name of Jesus.